All right, took me a second to find the camera, but this is my first cut. As you can see where the wedges are. Normally the wedges would be opposite direction the tree falls in, so in this particular case, I think my first cut was pretty good. Here's the wedge over here. So as you can see, this thing pretty good triangle. This was in here like so. So the first cut was on the bottom, and you probably can't tell, but this is this pretty steep inclines around the tree itself, the stump. It's hard to get your sense of what's level. So first cut was fine. Second cut, to cut the wedge out, was good. It met right where it needs to meet. Then I had a little cleanup to do, but not much. But other than that, the back cut is the one that gave me some issues. So the bottom one was the one I did first, and you probably could tell it's definitely on an angle going down. So I misjudged the angle of the saw. So as I cut through, I realized there's a significant like a 2-inch difference between level and where my saw was. So I was going to be way under where the first cut was. So I decided to go ahead and pull the saw back out and come at it again. First I put the first wedge under here, but then I realized I was pushing up and wedging where the saw was. So I pulled that back out, put one here and one here, and yeah, so they weren't in all the way. This one was in as far as the cut can allow, because I didn't go all the way in, and this one was somewhere around here. So slight breeze coming opposite way I wanted the tree to fall. So that played a role. Then pretty much the tree started to fall this direction. So as you can see, I wanted to avoid this direction because there's a down tree here as well. So I didn't want to snap this log. It's probably a 50-footer, somewhere in that range. I'm going to measure it, but yeah. So from what I could tell, it didn't crack the tree I just fell. So hopefully that's going to be good, and I'll be able to basically just limit and bring it down to the ground, and later on when I get the seasoning pile I can move it over. But just so I want to make sure there's no strain on the actual tree, and because then it obviously will cause bowing as it dries. So but yeah, ideally I was going to go this direction, and that will lead me towards the woods back there, and give me a little more room to basically skid the tree out of the way, push it back towards the property. back towards the wood line there, and just keep this area open for future. The diameter of this tree at the stump, which I was having a little challenge in trying to see the diameter of the trees before you cut them, but right now it's pretty easy to tell. So with the bark, it's 17 inches at the stump. So I measured 12.5 inches roughly at the around at 6 foot height. So it's obviously a lot wider at the stump. So and it's, as you can tell, it's a straight, it's a beauty. So it's nice and straight. So I rate my trees as well. So as you can see here, this is how I marked them. So this is the 7th tree I found, and it's a white pine. 12.5 inch is my estimate, and the actual circumference including the bark is 43.5, and it's rated an A. So 13 3/4 is a decent size one. I'm trying to stay between 14.5 and 12, somewhere in that range. So that'll be the size that ideally that I'm looking for. Nice big logs. It's gonna have pretty thick exterior walls, and it's better for installation, and a lot harder to deal with and skid and lift. But ultimately, when I finish the project, it should pay off. Just the beauty of having large logs, make up a log cabin is something I'm looking forward to. So. Second tree, I fell, and basically it went pretty much as planned. So Where it actually ended up is right where I was aiming it. That's the tree that went down naturally, but this is the top of it, so really didn't have much resistance. It's in the direction of the wind. I have to get better with figuring out my level. And as you can see, this is the first cut off to the left, and that's well past a third. So I'm right in the halfway point. You can see this is the middle of the tree. So that's where I took it to. First and second cut that I made were pretty deep. So, and also the angle of the second cut, it wasn't sharp enough to meet the first cut, so I had to go deeper in. This is how the wedge looked originally. As you can see, there's at least an inch to 3/4 of an inch. That was the original piece that I broke out. Again, this is really just trial as I'm getting better at this and learning how to wood cuts, how to saw cuts, my level. I don't want to have to bring out a level, but maybe what I'll do is wrap the base with something maybe 2-3 inches up, so I can get a better guide of the saw, right? Because I don't have anybody on that side of the tree to tell me if I'm high, if I'm low. And once you start, pretty much you have to get in at least 4 inches to leave the saw in place in order to tell where you're at. This one I'm also pretty close to the ground. I don't necessarily have to be this close, but you know, trying to get as much as a good wood as possible. This one left a hinge, which is the piece right in the middle here. So that's good because it prevents it from going this direction or back towards me. The second cut, from my understanding, should be above the first cut with the wedge. So on this side, it was almost level, and this side was actually below. Good thing about this is an open field, plenty of small saplings, so nothing really too significant to impact the direction the tree must go. So, but yeah, this is tree number 2. It's averaging around 15 minutes a tree to get cut down and clear the area, well over a foot. It's probably a foot and a half, 16 inches, somewhere in that range. You may fucking run out of gas, but let's see. This tree, this massive tree, probably 50 feet, is leaning on my back cut. So the issue is it's probably resting on this tree right next to it to some extent, and the cut is definitely not level. So I ended up doing 2 cuts on the back cut because the first cut was misaligned with the hinge, and the second one same thing. But luckily I got my saw out of there, so I'm going to have to fuel up again, go get my gas tank, and hopefully by the time I come back this thing is down. but I'm gonna clear the area. I may even leave this one until tomorrow and see if it comes back by itself, because it's really not a good clean way of getting it down where you don't want this thing to kick back or anything like that while I'm cutting it.